Welcome to African in New York. I'm Deogracius Miller. African in New York welcomes Africans and African Americans of high achievements to come to this show to tell us their stories. And today we are very lucky. We have Jessica Chemponda. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Deo. Very pleased to be here, and I send greetings from my Dakota leadership, from our chairman, Fred Njema, and from our president, Ndaga Mwakabuto. We are very thankful that you have given us this opportunity today to talk about our organization.
Thank you, Jessica. Jessica represents the Diaspora Council of Tanzanians in America, or Dakota. So I just want Jessica to tell us, what does Dakota mean? If you can briefly explain to us.
Sure, thank you so much. So Dakota basically is, the main purpose is to mobilize Tanzanians living in America, as well as Americans who are of Tanzanian origin in the USA, so that we can all connect. So one of our main goals is to make sure that we are participating in debates that affect us, not only here in the USA but also in Tanzania. So that's really that's the main thing that we're about. And we actually believe in making sure that we're engaging the Tanzanian and American diaspora and its supporters so that we can enhance and foster that relationship between Tanzania and America.
Well, yes, the Diaspora Council of Tanzanians in America is a platform, as you say, that helps Tanzanians and Americans to connect, and to further their interests, whatever interests they are, whether it's social, economic, or other interests. So for that reason, you're representing the Dakota and the president of Dakota, Dr. Ndaga Mwakabuto. And I have a little video clip here, which actually has Ndaga telling us, what are the main objectives and the mission and vision of Dakota. So let's watch that, and then we can open up the discussion for this interview.
Yeah, my name is Ndaga Mwakabuto. I'm the Dakota president. We are so glad you're here. Thank you for coming. As I said, we talk a little bit about, at a very high level, about Dakota. So we are here basically to engage your Tanzanians and their supporters to promote and enhance sustainable development for our country, and also to make sure that the relations between our two countries are going to be sustained. That is our mission for Dakota. It's a non-profit organization which was incorporated under Minnesota laws in the year 2009. So objectives basically is to make sure that we create a portal or platform for Tanzanians in America and our supporters, together with the both governments, America and Tanzania, to make sure that we are going to concentrate in developing our country, investing in all the philanthropic and developing sustainable projects, and also to utilize our intellectual investment and also financial capitals to make sure that they are going to be aligning with our goals of developing our country. We're also aiming at promoting the infrastructure in Tanzania And the last one, which is the bigger of all, is to unite all Tanzanians in America to be together, develop ourselves, and develop the two countries that we are coming from. So this is the structure of our organization. We do have members, that's the main part of organization. So it's member-driven organization. Then we do have the so-called board of trustees. We do have advisory council. It's not yet operational yet, as we are still building the organization. Then underneath here, we have all the executive team, starting with the president, secretary, deputy secretary, treasurer, and the assistant treasurer. And we have something called secretariat, which again is not yet in operation, as we are still young and growing.
Well, so that was Dr. Ndaga Mwakabuta, the president of DICOTA. He mentioned a lot of things here. And one of the things that I need to underline, which is very important, he was talking about, the use of DICOTA to educate Tanzanians and also to educate Americans about Tanzania. So there should be some initiatives that DICOTA carries out in order to educate Americans about Tanzania. Do you have examples of those initiatives?
So yes. Basically, one of the main channels through which we're able to educate Americans about what we're doing in Tanzania is through our conferences. Mm-hmm. At these conferences, we are very fortunate to have members of different government agencies in Tanzania come and represent what we're doing. So we have the immigration people come. We have people from the tourist industry come. We have people from national housing. We have people from the various insurance schemes like NSSF and PPF. So through that, and we also have, through that, they're able to come and talk to us about what is happening in Tanzania and what are some of the opportunities that are there. And they're also able to kind of share ideas in terms of how they might be able to partner with people here in America to actually grow those ideas further. And then on the flip side, at the conference, you also have U.S. government agencies in attendance, and they too are able to showcase some of their talents. And also, through robust dialogue with the attendees at the conference, they're able to kind of generate and spark some conversation around ways that they can also help individuals in Tanzania, advance.
You mentioned about the different conferences that DICOTA has organized so far. And, I think that we skipped a little bit, so let's just go behind. And let's try to understand, when was DICOTA founded, basically?
That's an interesting question. As our president Ndaga mentioned, we were incorporated in 2009, but mm-hmm. the idea for the organization actually happened a little bit earlier than that. It happened in 2008. Mm-hmm. 30 individuals from across the USA got together, along with support from Ambassador Sefue at the time. They sat down in Houston and talked about ways to mobilize our diaspora. And through that conference was the genesis of the Diaspora Council of Tanzanians in the U.S., and that's how it was formed. Then in 2009, we had the second conference, and it was at that point that they then went through and made sure that they actually officially formed the organization by ratifying and incorporating it. And it's actually been incorporated in Minnesota under Minnesota law. Mm-hmm. And post that, we've also had we had a conference in 2010 in Minneapolis, and at that point, because of some of the conversations and debates that we were having with individuals at home, we were able to come up with, or help our counterparts in Tanzania come up with products that would be able to support us here in the diaspora. So at that point was the birth of the WestStudy, the idea of creating this insurance scheme through NSFF, called WestStudy, and also CRDB already had a Tanzanite account, and figuring out how you could extend it so that more people in the USA would be able to use that.
Okay, so you mentioned two things. One is the insurance, the WestStudy.
Yes.
And the other one is the Tanzanite account.
Yes.
So can you briefly explain what is WestStudy and what is the Tanzanite account?
Okay, so One of the challenges just being in America is if something happens to you, so for instance, you die an untimely death here, but you want to go home, traditionally through the Tanzanian communities or through whatever other channels, you would collect funds and look to send the person home. But that can be very, very challenging, and it can be expensive, and it can take time to collect the level of funds that you need to actually send a body home. So to address that issue, NSSF came up with a product that would allow you to pay approximately $300 per year. And if anything were to happen to you here in the U.S. and you needed to be your body transported home, or even if you chose to be buried here in the U.S., they would give you a figure of money to help cover those expenses. So that basically takes care of the bulk of the expenses that you might have related to those funeral services. In addition, they also offer you health insurance, not only for you, but also for 4 members of your family that are residing in Tanzania. So what that does is that it extends the access to health care as well.
So this is very important because a lot of people, immigrants from other countries, while in America, don't have life insurances. And, anything could happen. And this is one of the examples where Dakota is helping Tanzanians to get an insurance so that no matter whatever happens, then you are covered. So that in cause of death, you can be, are transported back home and be buried, So something that is very hard because, funeral services here are expensive. So some sort of coverage, people needs to get that. And Dakota is offering this product, which is a very important product. So, and then you talked about the Tanzanite account. What is the Tanzanite account?
So the Tanzanite account is basically an account that the CRDB is offering, where it allows you to put foreign currency into that account, and then you're able to withdraw that money, whether you're here or primarily in Tanzania. And so it's an easy channel for you to get your money, as opposed to using something like a Western Union, which can have incredibly high fees, or some other alternate way to get monies to your home country. So again, that is another feature that's really important, because if you travel and go home, it's a lot more difficult to access your accounts that are sitting here. But if you have that ready-made account that's sitting and waiting for you when you get home, then it's easy for you to access the funds that you have, to take care of whatever it is that you need to take care of, whether it's enjoying your vacation, helping your family, or investing in a business, or doing any other activity that's important to you.
Yeah, this is very important because it's not about only conferences and meetings. It's also about, creating products, useful products to help Tanzanians abroad. And as you have said or mentioned, the insurance and the account, the CRDB account, help Tanzanians to get some services, especially in time of need. So I will play this clip over here that shows how West Study started and how West Study benefits Tanzanians in the U.S.
Absolutely.
The scheme that we're just about to launch is a welfare scheme that has been put together by NSSF. It's a scheme that has been put together by NSSF with a very kind assistance from Dakota, whereby for a contribution, a very modest contribution of $300 per annum per person, the insured person is going to enjoy the following benefits. First, the insured person, that is himself and his spouse, whether it is wife or husband, will have access to free Medicare when visiting Tanzania at any time and for whatever reason. Secondly, Mr. President, the insured person will be asked to name 4 dependents of his choice who are living in Tanzania, who will also enjoy full Medicare for the same level of contribution. And finally, Mr. President, in the event of death, NSSF will be responsible for the transportation of his remains to Tanzania for a decent burial. But also, Mr. President, this will include a free return ticket to the person who is going to escort the body to Tanzania for burial. All those expenses will be met by NSSF. Mr. President, I now have the honor and privilege of requesting Honorable Minister Mbembe to welcome you to officially launch WESTADI, which stands for Welfare Scheme for Tanzanians in Diaspora. Your Excellency, I thank you so much for your kind attention.
It's now my pleasure to welcome the President to touch buttons and witness the
Well, I hope Dr. Dawe will find time and explain it better. Mimi nimegusa kifungo tu. Lakini nadhani utapata nafasi ya kuelezea vizuri, but let me congratulate them. It's a novel idea. Get to know it better. Take advantage of it.
Good product, one of the best products that we have, and we are going to make sure that is going to be sustained. So we are going to continue supporting and sustaining diaspora products like your study, Tanzanite account, and many more like PPF. They're going to come up with some products. We are still in discussion with them. So all those products, to us, we feel they are like ours, and we are going to make sure that they sustain for the betterment of ourselves.
So we just seen the Tanzanian Minister for Foreign Affairs, Bernard Membe, and the President of Tanzania, Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, cooperating with Daikoder to launch this insurance product.
And we're so glad that our country is supporting us in this important initiative.
And it's only $300.
Yes, for, as he mentioned, a modest $300. You're not just getting them covering all of your funeral, transportation of your body and your funeral expenses, but you're also getting access to health care, not just for yourself, but for 4 other members of your family.
Right. I think that Daikoder is doing a lot because this is, a way of uniting Tanzanians by providing them with some services. And, I'm glad that, Daikoder is showing this example. And it's not only about Tanzanians, because my understanding is that Daikoder works with Tanzanians and Americans. And, trying to bring the Tanzanians and Americans together to cooperate in different initiatives and, projects. And it's no wonder, I believe, last year in North Carolina, apart from welcoming the Tanzanian leadership to the United States to attend this meeting, they also invited the American side, which also had the mayor of North Carolina, declaring a Tanzanian Day in Durham. That's one of the important initiatives, that Tanzanians and the United States show in working together.
It speaks to the fact that the organization serves as a source of constructive dialogue and a catalyst for positive change in Tanzania, and offers diverse voices in public disclosure and the United States of America on current issues concerning Tanzania. It speaks to the fact that this convention brings together members of the Tanzanian diaspora in the United States, Tanzanian private sector and government officials, business leaders, and community leaders with vested interests in investment and growth in the country and heritage of the Tanzanian community. Now, therefore, I, William V. Bill Bell, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim October the 3rd, 2014 as Tanzania's Diaspora Day in Durham. And give yourself a clap. Thank you. And we urge all citizens to take special note of this observance and appreciate the contribution the Tanzanian American community has made to our city.
But as you heard from the mayor, this is one of its kind. I'll see you. So it gives me great honor and pleasure on behalf of the Tanzania Embassy, and indeed on my own behalf, to welcome you all to our 5th Daikota Convention. Karibuni sana. I would like in a special way to extend a very warm welcome and my profound thanks to Ambassador Ombeni Sefue for accepting our invitation to come, traveling long distance from Tanzania to be with us here today. Chief Secretary, your presence here demonstrates your unwavering commitment to energize the diaspora. We honor you for being the founder of Daikota. Thank you. And partners and all our invited guests, please accept our sincere gratitude for making time to be with us today, despite your very, very busy schedule. It is my hope that the Daikota 24 Convention, themed Empowering the Tanzania Diaspora for Socio-Economic Transformation at Home and Abroad, will be a game changer towards redefining and positioning the diaspora to make a difference. We know for sure that effective and strategic use of the diaspora has assisted many countries across the globe to attain rapid economic development.
I was credited by Ambassador Mulamula as not really a founder, but helping to generate interest in such an organization. If we all work together, we can make Daikota, we can make sure Daikota lives up to its promise and deliver for its members and supporters. You will not be surprised to hear of my own faith in and commitment to Daikota, for as you know, I was there with you in 2008 when it all began in Houston. We have come a long way since then. Those who were there in 2008 will remember that I cautioned that there would be skeptics, that there would be wet blankets, that there are people who are instinctively suspicious of new initiatives. People who would want one day to say, we told you so. This Daikota thing will never fly. I counseled them, as I do now, that you must always ignore the noises of destruction and focus on your goal.
Pleasure to invite the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Bernard Camillus Membe. And if there is any minister I know of who is committed to diaspora, it's Minister Membe.
Daikota today is a bridge that joins the United States and Tanzania together, bonded by partnership and bonded by the fact that the Daikota community in North America and the United States is there to serve the Tanzanians back home, and that the government of Tanzania is there to help the Daikota community to discharge its duties. We recognize the competencies, collective competencies that Daikota holds in the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, now to the diaspora. Well, it has been my habit as foreign minister and now as president to meet Tanzanians wherever I travel abroad. You remember in May 2006, here in Washington and New York, we met. Bring technology to Tanzania. Bring skills to Tanzania. If you can yourself invest, do. If you can't, mobilize investors to come and invest in your great country. And this is the third meeting of the diaspora, Todd. in Tanzania. I commend you for organizing this event very well. Now I know what I have been missing, being able to attend the last two meetings. I bring with me very fraternal greetings from your brothers and sisters back home. We wish you well.
As I said, we are going to continue to do massive campaign to recruit new members for the diaspora and develop all the strategies to enable to bring more independent and self-reliant. So as I said, we are still young, 5 years, maybe 6 years old, and we have a lot of things to accomplish. Most of us, we are just volunteering our time, and if you're going to grow to be big enough, it means you're going to be able at least to hire some staff to work full-time, and that's the time where we're going to be maybe more productive. We're going to put in place all things that we want.
Now, it is my understanding, like the concept of diaspora in Tanzania is a very new concept. Is that true?
That's interesting that you say that. I was actually just reading up on when did we get excited about the diaspora. And back in 2008, when the financial crisis hit, the remittances that Tanzanians were sending home remained steady. And what they found was that was actually a solid amount of inflows of funding that was coming, and consistent funding that was actually larger than than even donor money into Tanzania. And it was at that point, so I think there was $18 million funneled from the diaspora into Tanzania in 2008, and in 2009 that number remained steady at again $18 million. So at that point, I think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was like, we need to make sure that we nurture and develop the diaspora, because they do play an important role in our development agenda for our country, and because we're on track to become an emerging market, a mid-sized country in the next several years. One of the ways that other countries have done that, and one of the ways that Tanzania is looking to do that, is through the diaspora.
Yeah. So there are some rumors around that the relationship between the diaspora and the Tanzanians in Tanzania hasn't been very effective. And some of the rumors are confirmed by the fact that, and I think that Daikota and other community members have been fighting against this notion that Tanzanians are so far Tanzanians as long as they do not acquire a second citizenship. So what has Daikota done so far, trying to bring together the two sides and open a platform for negotiations in recognizing the rights of Tanzanians who have been born in Tanzania but have changed their citizenship, and therefore they are no longer regarded as Tanzanians by the government?
That's actually an interesting question, and I think that Daikota itself has done a lot to actually facilitate that debate. I would say that when, I guess it was maybe 2-3 years ago, when they said they were going to change the constitution, or as we like to call it, the Katiba, Daikota was very instrumental and active in saying we want to actually provide inputs and come together and put together a paper of what we think should go into the Constitution. We want to make sure that we are that the Constitution contains language that recognizes the diaspora but also gives us the rights.
Na kamati ya waandishi kwamba tunaomba tuliandike hili swala kwa namna ambayo halitaleta nini matatizo. Na shida nyingine sio peke yake. Shida nyingine kubwa ni kwamba unaliandika kwa namna ambayo litapigiwa kura. Unaweza ukaandika swala kwa kulazimisha ukakosa kura zote.
So this is really an achievement. And I understand not everybody is happy about these achievements. You know, the skeptics and the critics will always be there.
The wet blankets.
As the Ambassador Sefour said. And do you still have this kind of people who kind of not happy with whatever Dakota has achieved so far?
We are human beings. We all have very different and distinct opinions. Even though there isn't necessarily one right way to do things, but if it isn't being done in the way that you think is right, you're probably going to oppose it. Yep. So will there be people that don't particularly agree with the way Dakota does things or with the way we approach things? Potentially, but as you know, many of our esteemed government officials advised us, we have to keep plodding along. We have to not get caught up in what the naysayers or the wet blankets are saying. We need to make sure that any banana peels that are thrown in our way, we don't slip on them. We have our vision, we have our mission. We want to be that bridge. We want to be that connectivity between America and Tanzania. We want to be able to find opportunities in America, find people that are willing to invest in Tanzania and connect them with people in Tanzania. That is what we want to do, and that is what we will continue to focus on, and we will continue to find people that will help us achieve those goals. The other thing, we living here in America, we don't want to forget our home. We don't want our children to forget our home. We don't want our children's children to forget our home. So part of what we will be doing in the future is making sure that we build channels through which not only to have the adults there talking about issues or being educated about Tanzania, but also to have our children from the little ones all the way up through your college level children participating in that dialogue about Tanzania, what it means to be a Tanzanian, what it means to support Tanzania, and to have Americans understand, oh yeah, this is a great place. This is something that I also want to. This is a country that I want to do business with. This is a country that I want to have a part in making sure that they get ahead.
I mean, this is very important, and I can see what you're talking about. This is somebody has to commend the efforts made by the American government, by the Tanzanian government, by the Dakota, and by the Tanzanian communities for coming together and create something that is, useful and of mutual benefits for the Tanzanians and for the Americans.
Right.
Because Dakota is uniting the two together. And I believe that this is very important, and Tanzanians need it. And somebody might be watching and they're asking like, okay, so do you have a website, and how do I become a Dakota member?
That's a great point. So we do have a website, www.dakotausa.org, and you can go to that website. On there, you'll see a link for membership. And you'll be able to click on the membership link, and you'll be able to register either as an individual, I believe that's $30 for an individual, or you can register as a whole family, and that's $50. So those are two mechanisms through which you would be able to get membership. And then once you join the organization, you'll be on our mailing list. You'll have access to a lot of the things that we're doing. One of the key things that we actually are doing is developing a database, and it's a database of profiling the Tanzanians that are here in America, and potentially it will expand in time, but it's capturing what kind of skill sets do we have, where are we? So if opportunities arise and they need certain expertise, you can just go into that database and pull up some profiles, and you get immediate access to qualified candidates. So that's one of the big benefits that you'll have as a member, being able to participate in those types of tools. And in addition, we plan to have other programming outside of our flagship, convention to kind of, we're here in America and we want to make sure that we are supporting each other and growing our skill sets, because we want to be able to have things that are of value that will be of use to our home country. So we're going to have some type of programming in the not too distant future that our members will be able to take advantage of, and either, as a member, you'll be able to participate, or you can help, volunteer your time to help us develop some of those programs.
We don't have much time, so what I want to is to take these few minutes right now, just, to summarize. And I just want you to say something that will leave the audience with, a clear vision, something that they will remember what Dakota is, and something that will help them or trigger their interest in joining the organization. So how do you do it?
You left the hard question for last, huh? So, and Dakota is a mechanism for you not only to continue to develop skill sets that you can then use here in America, but it's also a platform through which you can take those skills and find outlets to be able to do the same in your home country.
Right.
So for me, it's that connectivity. Dakota provides you with that connectivity. Dakota has been able to bring those resources from Tanzania here in the U.S. You're now able to talk to the National Housing Corporation. You're able to talk to Azania Bank. They're able to tell you how to get a mortgage. You're able to talk to Brella and find out how you can create a company and invest in Tanzania. So Dakota puts things that you may not easily have access to at your fingertips.
Right.
So that to me is one of the things that I would like to leave the audience with.
One of the platforms that you can use to get some details or to get knowledge of how to invest in Tanzania, please, Dakota is one of those platforms that will be able to help you. And I believe that that is well said. And I have to thank you for coming here. This program is African in New York, where we welcome Africans and African Americans to tell out their stories. And today we heard a story from Dakota, and Jessica Chemponda told that story. And we say thank you for coming. And it's been a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me. And again, Dakota thanks you, and we look forward to having you at our convention next year, because I think it's shows like this, again, that will help and enhance and promote our mission and agenda.
From the studio, I'm Dale Gracious Miller, saying bye-bye and see you next time. Thank you.